It's not them turning Halloween into Christmas! Hey, Blake T. Wilde here, and welcome to the Comic Schtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. As always, I am here to discuss, sometimes comic books. More often than not, I really don't. I've been slacking on my comic book reading, especially these past couple months. If it's something other than Marvel's 20-year-old event, Civil War, I haven't really been reading it. But that will not stop me from discussing brand new comic books and all of the announcements that came out of San Diego Comic-Con. As well, Hadestown, the musical. If you watched or were in the live stream chat of last episode, I can't remember what it was called. The MCU is collapsing. That's what it's called. Then you might have heard my excitement about the Hadestown film. A pro shoot, rather, is what it's called, based on the hit Broadway show Hadestown. I was more excited to see it than I was Spider-Man Brand New Day or Avengers Doomsday, a movie that I just forgot the name of. So I'm going to be discussing it because I did see it, and I'm very excited. But here's the thing. Obviously, Spider-Man Brand New Day came out today. So when am I going to discuss that? Next week! I should have had a calendar ready. What day is that? I don't know. Hold on. Just wait. The 7th of August, I'm going to be doing another live stream episode of the Comic Schtick Podcast. Hopefully this time not as many technical difficulties in setting that up, but I will be live streaming it at 5 p.m. PST. I think that's 8 p.m. Eastern Time, discussing Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I guess whatever other news comes up in this next week regarding, comics and movies and pop culture, whatever. But the main gist is going to be talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Gives people enough time to see it, at least I think so, a whole week. So if you want to join me in the discussion, hopefully I don't hate it. I can't imagine I will, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. Guess I'll have to wait to find out. I don't know when I'm going to see it either. Probably not this weekend. Probably not opening night. Because here's the thing. I hate going to movie theater showings where there's a lot of people. Endgame was pretty good. I enjoyed that. There wasn't any issues. It's more so just the worry about obnoxious patrons and having to listen to people talk. And also, I usually go with my wife, and she likes to sit all the way in the back top section, the very far row along the far wall. I don't. She either likes to sit there or like in the middle area of the top section. Hate that. The best seat in the house, I believe, is about 3 to 4 rows from the screen down in the bottom section, perfectly in the middle. So you can kind of sit back, you can lean your head against the chair if you want to or not, but it's not like you're going to be like craning your neck back to see the screen. You're not in the first row. That's too close. 3 to 4 rows from the screen, that is perfect. That is the perfect spot in a movie theater. And usually you're away from other people. So even if someone is whispering or chatting, you typically can't hear it unless they're really loud because you're so far away and the speakers are drowning everything out. But there we have it. Join me this next Friday, August 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Pretty sure that's right. For a live stream episode of the Comic Schtick Podcast covering Spider-Man Brand New Day. And without further ado, let's get right into things with the first topic of discussion. That, of course, being Hadestown the musical. Longtime viewers, or even listeners or watchers of the Comic Schtick Podcast might remember a very early episode I did a couple years ago about musicals based on other properties. Because those are usually my favorite. I don't know if that's true. I like odd musicals. Like, I haven't watched many of the classics that you'd expect if someone says they like musicals, but I like ones that are weird. Check out that episode. That was a fun one. I think I discussed the Carrie musical, which I am a huge fan of, the SpongeBob musical, the Evil Dead musical. I can't remember what other ones were there. But Hadestown is a musical that I have heard of because it's, you know, an award-winning show. It was a big thing of discussion online a couple of years ago, and I just never really looked into it. I wasn't even aware of what it was until, like, a month or two ago. I started getting advertisements on my Instagram algorithm for the trailer for the Hadestown musical pro shoot release. And I was like, ooh, hey, what's this? This is pretty cool. Hey, I recognize that guy. That's Andre DeShields. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I've never heard anybody say it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Now I can finally watch it. Of course, as I bring up every time I bring up musicals, in the community online, if you want to find a musical recording, just type in the musical name and then slime tutorial. For some reason, slime tutorial became code for sharing like bootleg musicals online. So you can find so many of them on YouTube. It's a great show, is what I've discovered. Because, again, had no idea what Hadestown was. But it's fantastic. This was phenomenal. This might be my favorite film of the year. I'm gonna have to see some other stuff. I got a lot of great movie trailers before this picture. The two that stand out are Mother, 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 which is this strange religious action ninja samurai movie starring Mahershala Ali. I don't remember if it's getting the theatrical release or if it's like on Prime or something. But the other one is Onslaught by, I was going to say Jason Wingard, but I'm pretty sure that is an X-Men villain. Adam Wingard? Is that him? The guy who did the recent Kong vs. Godzilla movies? I saw that one. That is one I really want to check out. Onslaught. Here's the premise if you're unaware. Watch the trailer. It's a fucking crazy trailer. If the movie is as kinetic as the trailer is, at least it won't matter if the story's bad, because it'll be so stylish. But the premise is that in small town, middle America, wherever the hell, there's a woman who is a single mother and her daughter. And they live in this little town. One night they're driving home and they stop at a gas station on the outskirts of town to get something. The mother leaves her kid in the car and she's like, hey, don't talk to strangers. And she gets out and walks away into the store to, buy something or use the bathroom or whatever. So the daughter's left alone in the car. Daughter looks over. Behind the gas station, there's a big empty lot. She sees a Humvee that is dropping off 3 massive dudes, 6'5" to 7 feet tall, decked out in military, Navy SEAL shit. Now imagine Jason Voorhees, but he's been trained by special ops. And that is the premise of this film. It is a slasher movie, but the slashers, 3 of them, are super soldiers. They all have their own unique things. That one has special senses and he can see in the dark and has a heightened sense of smell, whatever. That one is kind of bulletproof. It got shot 43 times and it still goes. We call him the cockroach. And the mother and the daughter leave, and then the 3 soldiers fucking just slaughter the gas station people. Whoever's in there, customers, attendants, whoever, they just butcher them. So it's seemingly the premise of this film is, like I said, it's a slasher movie if the slasher was a fucking special ops super soldier. It's the government just sent them here to do covert testing on this small town against a civilian population. Just let them off the leash. Let's see how they do. Is maybe what the premise is, and it looks fucking crazy. and I want to see it. But that was one of the trailers I saw before Hadestown. I was pleasantly surprised by the movie selection that they provided for Hadestown, because it got my mind going. It got me excited for a bunch of other stuff. Some of them I can't remember, which isn't great, because they seemed really interesting, but that was the one that stood out the most. So Hadestown. Like I said, never heard of... Well, no, I have heard of it. I've heard of it a lot. I never watched it, never listened to it. There's a pro recording, or, the official cast recording on Spotify. It's been there for a handful of years, just never got around to it. And for some reason, I don't know what I expected. I guess I wasn't expecting it to be, so tonally serious and dark. For some reason, in my mind, I thought it was like a sillier production and, concept. I don't know if I was conflating it with something else. Maybe, Has-Been Hotel or something. I thought it was one of those things, where it's, edgy and kind of silly in a way that, teenagers are into. I don't know why. Again, don't know where I got that from. There must be something that came out that has a similar name or concept that I thought this was. But I don't know what it is. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. But oh my goodness, I was blown away. What a great retelling of this Greek myth. I won't spoil it, but I truly recommend, if you have a theater near you that is showing it, go check it out. 2.5 hours long. There is no intermission. I was kind of hoping there would be, because I feel like of all things, pro shoot of a production should have an intermission. There is a point where there seems like there should be an intermission. There is not. Movie keeps going. Cannot recommend it enough to go see Hadestown the musical. It is the gold standard for pro shoot productions of theater being released theatrically. I was, like I said, I was blown away. I want to go see it again. I'm more excited to get my wife to go and watch it again with me, because I went alone the first time. I'm more excited to do that, to go and rewatch Hadestown the musical, than I am to go see Spider-Man Brand New Day. I loved this movie, this theater, this production, this show. I thought it was amazing. And not only is it just a great performance, but it's also a well-done, creative depiction of the show for the viewer in the theater. Recently, there was Merrily We Roll Along, or more likely you'd be aware of Hamilton. The pro shoot of Hamilton that released, 6 years ago now, on Disney+. Comparing Hamilton and how it was shot, the cinematography, the compositions and everything. Comparing that to what they did with Hadestown, it is night and day. Hadestown, you can feel the care and the love and the attention and the creativity that went in to this filmed version of the live production. They don't just put the cameraman here, or a stationary camera or whatever, and just kind of move it around. Hamilton, they did stuff where they moved around the stage with the actors. I think it's been so long since I've watched Hamilton, but in my mind, I don't remember it being as invigorating or enthralling. It was much closer to Merrily We Roll Along, which is pretty much filmed like a 3-camera sitcom or something, camera here. And it's just a lot of close-ups. It's purely just, here's the performance as it's happening. You got blinders on. You're only getting what's on stage. But with Hadestown, it works so well, because it opens up with the street that it's on in the West End. I don't remember what the theater is, but it shows the crowds and people filing into the theater. It cuts behind the scenes to the backstage, people doing their makeup, getting ready, getting in costume, and it's this incredible buildup. And that ties into the whole thing, because that's not the only time we see, like, the outside world. We see the audience so many times. We see audience reactions. We see the audience actually in the crowd as the actors are on stage performing for them, rather than trying to hide them like Hamilton did, like Merrily We Roll Along did. They make the audience part of this production and part of this story, which works so well with what Hadestown is, which is that it's all about the story. It's this eternal tale that humanity always tells itself. It's these Greek tragedies that become converted into something new, something artistically revelatory, and continues along centuries after it was originally told. That is Hermes, Andre de Shields' whole opening monologue. Is like, oh, this is a story that's been told before, and we're gonna tell it again. It brings forward just the most beautiful elements of what humanity is, of storytelling and art and music, and these things which are so innate to mankind that they are still alive and hopefully will flourish again in the future. But I loved it. I truly loved it. And the more I'm talking about, the more I think this is my favorite film of 2026. I think I loved it more than I did 28 years later, The Bone Temple. And that was a movie I fucking loved. But I couldn't believe how well done it was. Because again, the cinematography, going back to that, they have like a crane arm going around the front of the stage, and then it can loop around back to the audience, and you get so many visceral angles and close-ups and shots. And one that I think of is Orpheus, the main character. He's on the ground, he's in despair across the stage, and then in the foreground the camera's low, and it's like, in his perspective, his plane, kind of. But it's across the stage looking at him, like over here, right? And it's staring at him, and then suddenly he goes out of focus, and into focus comes, like, the boot of Hermes as he begins speaking to him. And it's just such a beautifully, like, blocked and composited scene. I was like, holy shit. They actually made this into something worthwhile. They made this into a proper way to view the production that doesn't just feel like, it's like a high-quality cam rip for all intents and purposes, where, you're kind of stationary from one angle. You might get a close-up here and there, but more often than not, you're kind of pulled back so you can see everything that's going on. Not here. Oh my God, it's so well done. It's artistic, and I loved it. and I was blown away by the performance of it all, and the songs and the actors. It's the original core cast of character and actors from the original Broadway showing, with, like, the rest of the West End actors, and like the not chorus. Is it chorus? What is the word I'm looking for like, like the background dancers and the people who, like, do the little roles? Is it chorus? I feel like there's another term for it. I feel like it starts with an E. I want to say entourage, but that is not right. Ensemble. There you go. The ensemble is all fantastic. Every single person in this performance was so well done. The standout is Paul Page. I think it's Pete Page. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's something Page. As Hades himself. Now, when you watch the film, he has a massive boot on, like, on his left leg, from, like, the knee down. It's just fucking huge and chunky. He looks like if Hellboy, instead of having a stone hand, he had a stone giant foot. And it's like, it has intricate, like, carvings, and it kind of glitters in the light. And he has this black cane with, like, a dog's head in gold on the top. It's like, like Cerberus or something. And the way he moves, he's like lunging and taking steps after each character. And the way he bends his body is like a velociraptor. He's like a creature. And the whole film I was watching, I was like, holy shit. That is a cool rendition of like Hades, and the whole time I was like, what's the symbolism of the foot thing? Why does his leg look like that? Is there some kind of like Greek myth that I'm unfamiliar with where Hades has like a foot made of stone? Like, what does this represent what does it mean for the character? Means nothing! Because the actor tore his Achilles tendon before the production, and he had to wear a giant boot. And it's incredible! I watched the, like, other versions of the show, the slime tutorials, and I was like, oh my god, I prefer the boot! The boot is incredible, it adds so much character, and it's, like, you watch it if you're unaware, and you're like, huh, that's like an odd little, like, thing. Like, how did they think of, like, what can we do to Hades to make him seem like he's an aging man, that he's falling into disrepair himself, he's replacing his own body with, like, like stone and hard metal, just like he is in Hades itself. And it's like, oh, they gave him like a giant, like, ornate boot to wear. That's cool. It's almost like, it evokes images of like the devil and the cloven hoof of the devil. But no, it's just because he broke his fucking ankle, tore his fucking Achilles tendon. But it worked so well. Now every time I watch, like, other performances, I'm like, where's the boot? I want the boot. You need to just start making people wear a boot in future performances of the show, because it works. It evokes so much more emotion, I think, than this big, strong, stoic man of stone, just upright, deep voice Hades that is what it normally is. It creates unease when he's moving around stage because, again, of how he moves himself. It creates empathy later into the show because he's hobbling along and eventually gives up the cane. It's insane how well and how visceral it adds to the story. And the story is monumental. It is so fantastic. I was unaware of, like, the Orpheus and Eurydice's. Eurydice? I think it's Eurydice's. Original Greek tale. I never heard of it. Or did I? I don't remember. I never read it. I was unfamiliar with the general outline of the story. I didn't look it up either. So I went into it blind, both mythologically and theatrically. Just of all stories, I went in blind. But I could figure out where things were going, because it's a Greek story. If there's one thing they loved, it is tragedy. And my god, is the big final reveal of the production. First of all, it's so well shot and just filmed. I felt my heart drop into the pit of my stomach. I heard myself take the gasp. Like, oh my god. And just how it's filmed is so perfect. It's so sad and tragic. And I cannot say enough about this film and the overall story. But god damn, is that a great show. And God's almighty, I don't know. This is what a pro shoot should be. And I hope that the success of Hadestown proves that this is something that can be financially viable moving forward and becomes more in line with what we see from Broadway productions, from theater productions of these, theatrically released renditions of the show, not in a way that emulates you're sitting in the audience. You're back here. You get to see what's going on. I want this. I want something full of life and creativity and love. You could feel the care put into this film. And that is what stood out to me the most. On top of everything, on top of the terrific performances, on top of the set designs, which I was blown away by when they go to Hades itself, and the walls start pulling back, and the lights shine on, and like the minor helmets that the denizens of Hades, the undead souls, wear, or I guess the dead souls, because they're like they're factory workers. The sociological elements of it that has. Like, this story was, like, written in, like, 2006, and then became a big thing in the 2010s. And it continues to become more and more relevant as the days pass on. It's both a story of, like, there's elements of commentary on climate change and sociology, and, like, societal factors and issues, poverty and extremism, and ideas of us versus them, tribalism. There's so much going on, but on top of it all is the production of the film itself. And I was blown away. But now let's get into some other topics of discussion. The first is, I don't know if this was shown at San Diego Comic-Con, but it came out. I'll get to San Diego Comic-Con stuff a little bit later. This is Matchbox the Movie. Matchbox. The Matchbox cars. Kind of like Hot Wheels, but not. This is Matchbox the Movie, starring John Cena and Jennifer Beal as the main characters. I watched the trailer, and it started off pretty rough. Didn't think it was going to be too interesting. It's like, oh, they were childhood friends and used to play with Matchbox cars as kids, and then they grew apart, and he comes back to town to see, like, all the friends from childhood meet up for a reunion. And, oh, he's become hot and jacked now because he's John Cena. I was like, oh, this is not going to be a good film. But he's also, like, in the desert fucking racing cars, like one of those 6-wheeled Jeeps that you could get in GTA 5. And, he attaches, like, a grappling hook and goes over a mountain or something. So, like, he's a badass, too. And I was not interested until the trailer reveals that, like, his group of friends get roped into the situation that he is in, which is that, like, the CIA or someone thinks he has stolen a nuclear bomb or something like that. And now, seemingly, they're trying to figure out who has the bomb and also evade these, like, government organization and agents who are trying to arrest them and or kill them. And it looks like a pretty fun premise once that was introduced. I was really worried, and now I'm less worried. It's probably not going to be a great film, but I feel like it could be much more. I feel like it's going to be enjoyable, especially much more now that the cast is extended out. Because I could have easily seen this being, like, just John Cena and Jennifer Beal being the main focuses. But the fact that they added in these other characters, one of whom is played by Ron Funches? Funches? I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say his last name before. I love him. I think he's hilarious. I think it's also one of the guys from Please Don't Destroy. Is it John? I think that was him. I didn't look it up. But it looks fun. Like, once you make it past, like, the first minute and a half of the trailer, it actually seems kind of interesting and like a fun movie. I think it would be great if the big reveal is that John Cena's character was not wrongfully accused of stealing a dirty bomb or something, and is actually the bad guy. Like the Steve Carell Get Smart movie from, like, 2006 or 2008 or something. If you remember that, The Rock is in it, and he plays, like, the Uber agent that he completes every mission. He's the best in the business. He's the high rank, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out he is the bad guy. He is the corrupt agent who is out for himself, and he's doing whatever. I think a twist like that could make this film really work. That would be such a fun thing to do. If, like, the whole buildup is like, oh, it's a good old John Cena, whatever his character's name is, and, like, everybody is in disbelief once they get kidnapped that he's the secret agent guy doing whatever the fuck. And there's even a line by Ron in the trailer where he's like, something about, like, they're in a plane and John Cena escapes and kills a bunch of people that are taking them hostage. And Ron's like, well, I don't think he's a bad guy. A bad guy would ask us to, like, throw the bodies off the plane. And then John Cena, of course, walks into the room. He's like, all right, I need you guys to help me throw these bodies off the plane. If that is the twist reveal, that he's the bad guy all along, and they keep it that way, they make there's no turn of heart at the very end, or something, like, full on he becomes the villain, that could be a pretty good movie. Probably not a great movie, but a good one nonetheless. Something that isn't good is that Wonder Man is not returning for season 2. Wonder Man was one of the only 2 Disney Plus shows to be renewed for season 2. Everyone was so excited. It's probably the best received Disney Plus show for Marvel that they've done. I think even more than like WandaVision and Loki. I feel like more people discussed Wonder Man and like the rave reviews and discussions it led online. I still haven't watched it, even though, like I said last episode, I was the biggest proponent for Wonder Man in my life, in my social circle. And everyone I could tell, I'd be like, you gotta watch Wonder Man, it's coming out on Disney Plus, you gotta see it, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be it looks so good. And then I just never took the time to actually sit down and watch it. And am I the reason? If I had was I the one viewer in their statistics that they were like, if only we had one more person watch Wonder Man, we wouldn't have canceled it. I saw an interesting comment, which was like, maybe it's because of Shang-Chi too. Because Destin Daniel Cretton, I still don't know, director of Brand New Day, also Shang-Chi, also Wonder Man. He was like the showrunner, he's the director, blah, blah, blah. Shang-Chi 2, moving forward, he's not going to have time to work on Wonder Man Season 2, but why does that mean you have to cancel it? Like, why would you, what? Just because that fucking guy isn't coming back? I'm sure he has ideas, just ask him what he would do, and then get someone talented to finish it for him. That is a huge disappointment. I can only think of, I think Kevin Feige in a recent interview before Brand New Day said something along the lines of like, we were focusing too much on quantity and not enough on quality. He didn't outright say that, but along those lines. And Marvel is clearly pulling back the reins on everything that they're doing. And unfortunately, Wonder Man is one of those things. Just like Armor Wars, my beloved Armor Wars, which is never going to come out, but I refuse to accept it. That's disappointing. But let's get into San Diego Comic-Con news. Starting things off, this is technically Marvel-based, but I'm going to put it as its own thing. And that is Indiana Jones and the Sword of Pandemonium, ushering in a bold new era of Indiana Jones storytelling, says this article. So this was revealed at the Lucasfilm Publishing Panel at SDCC 2026, where I haven't read the article since it was posted, so I can't really remember what's in it. But it is an all-new 5-issue limited series from writer Jason Aaron and artist Aaron Cutter? Not sure. Series kicks off an all-new era of comic book adventures for the iconic archaeologist set during the original groundbreaking films. So first of all, it's interesting that it takes place after Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I guess makes sense, because Temple of Doom, Raiders, Last Crusade, that's the chronological order of things. And we really don't know what Indy was up to between Raiders and Last Crusade. I don't recall what years those are set. Is Last Crusade's going to be in the 40s. I think Raiders is like 38 or 39, maybe? So, needless to say, it's going to be cool to see. Of course, we still have the old Indiana Jones The Further Adventures Book 1 and Book 2, which are deluxe hardcover reprintings collecting the 1980s Marvel Comics series sagas, which releases in September. I already have those both pre-ordered, so I'm looking forward to finally getting into reading some of those books. You know, there's also the Indiana Jones at Atlantis, there's the Indiana Jones video games, which really was all we had until the Golden Circle? Is that what? No, that's Kingsman. The Great Circle? What was it called? I owned the game. I still haven't played it. I own it, but I don't remember what it was. But I'm very glad to see more Indiana Jones stuff coming out. I'm looking forward to this. This might actually be something that I seek out and read as it releases. It's 5 issues, 5 months of storytelling, hopefully if it releases on time. The little write-up says, in the wake of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indy's most notorious villains, including the impossible return of an archenemy, seek a terrifying new source of power to recoup their loss. One that's fallen into the hands of his former companion, Marion Ravenwood. Alright, so, okay. Right off the bat, because that is the first time I've read this. Not a great start, because that makes me worry that they're going to bring back one of the villains from Raiders, who got, like, their face melted. Or blown up. And I don't know how I feel about the lead up to, like, Marion being involved again so soon. And, like, she has another thing that people, like, how the fuck does she keep coming across these MacGuffins? Now Indiana Jones has to race to the far corners of the globe in search of a biblical weapon, embarking on an epic quest that will put both his archaeology skills and skepticism of the supernatural to the ultimate test. Be honest, that kind of took the wind out of my sails. Does that sound good? That is not a good write-up. That doesn't make me excited. I feel like you should have cut the stuff. Like, obviously I know why they did it, because they have to be descriptive to get people to buy the fucking thing. But, 40, 50-year-old men are going to be buying anything with Indiana Jones's name on it. So that doesn't matter. But, like, wow, that really just made me not excited? Did that happen to anyone else? I'll check it out, hopefully, if I remember. When does it come out? September, I think? No, that's the other books. When does the fucking other one come out? When is this new book release? I don't know. December. Comes out December. So we'll see. They also announced some Star Wars comics, but I don't really follow those. So I'm not going to bring it up after I finish this current sentence that I'm saying right now. Moving on to DC Comics. I'll tell you what, it's a pain in the ass to try and find any news articles about the comic side of San Diego Comic-Con. Pain in the ass indeed. But I did manage to find some stuff. They announced Jonah Hex and the Shadow of Death, written by Michael Walsh, and a terrifying new era of DC's haunted bounty hunter. 6-issue series written and drawn by Michael Walsh. And the art and the coloring like elements, they play with some I'm blanking on what it is. The printing dots. What the fuck is that called? Oh my god, I can't remember. But like it looks neatly experimental. Like they're not going too far with it, but they're not making it like just look like every other book that's currently released, which I really dig. I like the art style, I like the coloring and everything in the preview pages. This Western pushes the initiative into a bold new direction with Walsh's signature blend of folk horror, gritty frontier, and psychological tension. Looks cool. I think this might be the one I'm most interested in, although, you know me, I can never keep up with modern comics, and I wind up just not reading them. The Demon, a haunted Jason Blood, walks the edge of hell as a familiar fire stirs beneath his skin. As the world slips towards shadow, something ancient strains to rise again. I guess that kind of rhymed. The Demon, written and drawn by James Herron, and colors by Dave Stewart, love that guy, and lettering by Clayton Cowles, also very good letterer. I'm unfamiliar with James Herron. The Demon is set to push the initiative into bold new territory with Herron's mix of monsters, raw emotion, and sharp intensity. This one, the art style doesn't work for me, personally, just based on the preview images. It looks like it's very similar to, is it Daniel Warren Johnson? Is he the one who did Jurassic League? Like, it really looks like that, which I liked, but for some reason it just didn't enthrall me in any particular way. And every time I see someone doing his kind of style with, like, you know, the black lines along, like, the outline of the character to represent motion. I don't know, there's something about that I feel like it only works when Daniel Warren Johnson does it. I don't know where he got it from. Probably like a manga or something. But I don't... this one... I hate to use this term because it annoys me when people, like, lament the fact that something doesn't look realistic. They usually say, oh, it looks too cartoony. But this, to me, looks too cartoony for the demon. Which, you know, it doesn't help that the only demon stuff I've read is his appearances in Swamp Thing, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, and the Jack Kirby stuff. So when I think of Etrigan the Demon, I think of those. And this, it looks too soft, I guess? I don't know. I'm probably not going to check this one out. They also announced, but didn't really give too much detail, of Vixen by Stephanie Williams and Kari Randolph. Static by Cody Ziegler. That's really cool. I like that Cody Ziegler has kind of, like, he's the go-to guy for when you need to write a black teenage character now. Is he getting typecasted as that guy? I say that solely because he had a long run on Miles Morales, and now he goes to DC and they put him on Static. So that's by Cody Ziegler and Diego... Oh, man. Let me try and sound it out phonetically. Olortige. Oh, fuck me. How do you pronounce this name? Olortige. Diego Olortige. Is that right? I don't know. I've never heard of that guy. I don't know what the art looks like either. I think they showed the covers, but I'm pretty sure those weren't by the artists. And then, of course, the big one that everyone's talking about is Shadow of the Bat by Denise Camp and Javier Rodriguez. They went on stage. This was at a panel, by the way. So, there's a tweet by Jenna Anderson from the panel that says, Denise Camp takes the stage to announce Shadow of the Bat by himself and Javi Rodriguez. A chemical factory explodes and releases toxins across part of Gotham. A lot of new characters trying to reinvent Batman for the moment. Denise Camp on Shadow of the Bat says, what would make Batman feel urgent right now as our institutions are crumbling? Big fan of Denise Camp. Even though I haven't read much of what he's done, I've barely read anything. I just like him as a person. But I'm sure this is going to be fantastic. I really want to interview him. I wonder if I could reach out and interview him. I don't know what I would ask him. Because again, I just admitted to not really reading any of his works. But the other big Batman thing, they're doing it. They're crossing over Absolute and Regular, I guess. Is that it's called Batman of Two Worlds, featuring, I gotta zoom in on what this picture says, featuring an all-new Batman story by Matt Fraction and Javi Fernandez, and an all-new Absolute Batman story by Scott Snyder and Nick Darrington. Oh, Nick Darrington, okay. Only available on Batman Day at your local comic book store. So, like, is this in some way a crossover? Because they kind of act like it. It's the tagline is two iconic worlds, one historic event. So I doubt they're going to cross over and, like, meet each other. This is giving me vibes of, like, the 2000s Cartoon Network event, Invasion, where over the course of, like, 5 of Cartoon Network's shows, there was one concurrent storyline that didn't even pass over from show to show. Like, it was very, very vaguely connected, but they still made it feel somewhat connected. It reminds me of that. Like, oh, regular Batman's gonna be doing something that kind of ties in with what Absolute Batman's dealing with. Like, is that what this is? Because that's what it kind of seems like. It's what it reads like to myself. Who knows? And I guess that's it. That's all I could really find for DC Comics. Again, DC Studios wasn't there. And again, it is very difficult to find anything comic-based when you look up San Diego Comic-Con. So I'll move on to Marvel Comics. The Punisher is fighting the Predator. Announced at San Diego Comic-Con, Predator's next Marvel Comics showdown begins this November in Predator vs. Punisher, a 4-issue series by Frank Thierry and Jesus Saez. Saez? Cool. That'll be interesting to see. Punisher makes sense for a target of the Predator, I think. If there was one character in the Marvel Universe that it makes sense for the Predator to go after, to hunt, it is Frank Castle. Marvel also announced 4 Infernal Hulk one-shots are releasing. Infernal Hulk, that is Infernal Hulk versus the Avengers, Infernal Hulk versus Spider-Man, Infernal Hulk versus Fantastic Four, and Infernal Hulk versus Wolverine. I haven't read Infernal Hulk, except for the first issue. I'm pretty sure I bought the first issue. The most I remember discussing Infernal Hulk on the show is when I said it looks like he is one of those performance pieces where half of the person's face is like a man in a tuxedo, and like they turn sideways, and then when they turn the other way, the other half is like a blonde wig and makeup on and a dress to be like a woman. Like one of those performances. Like Sabrina Carpenter's background dancers during that one song at Coachella this year. Cool, I guess. Let me know in the comments what's going on with Infernal Hulk. Why is Infernal Hulk getting these Infernal Hulks? The big thing, however, regarding Marvel that I brought up, someone in the chat brought up and I discussed it last episode, is the fact that Marvel's moving its headquarters from New York to Los Angeles, or, somewhere around there, just like DC did, like, 10 years ago? And CB Cebulski, Akira Yashida himself, is stepping down as editor-in-chief. I can't point to anything he really did. I wish they would just bring back Axel Alonso, but CB Cebulski is stepping down. Stephen Wacker is taking his place. I don't know what that means. People seemed to like him. I'm not really familiar with the Whack Man. But what Mr. Cebulski is now doing, Akira Yashida is returning to the homeland. He is going to Japan. If you're unaware of what I'm talking about, CB Cebulski, when he was an editor at Marvel in the 2000s, editors couldn't write stories. That was in the contract. Like, you can't write and edit. To get around that, he created a new person. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, did he just hire himself? Is that what it is? I can't remember if that's the premise. But he created a fake Japanese man whose name is like 2 of the most famous fictional character Japanese names in existence, to be this Japanese writer who would publish Japanese-inspired, like, anime, manga, Marvel stories. And from what I look through, it's been a couple years, because I truly don't care enough, but it's just fun to make fun of. What I remember, they're like the most stereotypical, like, Japanese stories. Like, it's like, oh, the ninjas and katanas, and, it's just shit like that. But, like, he hired, I think, like, a Japanese interpreter to act as Akira Yashida in an interview with a different Marvel editor. So he scammed the company, and then he gets to be editor-in-chief, like, 10, 15 years later. And not enough people brought it up. But that's all to say, Cebulski Yashida is returning to Japan. He's moving there, apparently, and is working with a partnership via Marvel Comics and Kadokawa? I don't know what that is. Is that a publishing company? Is that like a manga tankobon? What is it fucking called? what's the books for like teenagers? What are those called? Whatever. Is that what that is? I don't know. But they're working together to create 5 original manga projects to be released for Japan. The first being teased was Japanese Spider-Man, a teenager from Shibuya who, wow, that looks rough. It's a weird, like, inverse of the Ben Reilly costume, and he is also wearing big goggles that you can just see his eyes through. It's a terrible disguise, really. And also, like, a bandana face mask. Just doesn't look like a great design. I gotta bring up my phone to look at the other ones, because I did download them, and I just don't want these on my phone, and then I don't talk about them. I want the space that they're taking up to be worth it. There is a full body suit for there's like an early suit and then a final suit, because that's a thing that has to happen now. We can't just go directly, to, he just makes the suit that he wears. It has to be built up to. I do like the full final Spider-Man suit. I think it's a neat, interesting design. I like the colors. I like the pale, like, almost sky blue. I think the Spider-Man suit's actually very cool. For anyone watching the video, I'll just put my phone up to the screen if you can see it. But it's a neat look. Here's what the other suit looks like. Stupid. But there's also Manga Daredevil, who of course has a first suit and a final suit. They're unremarkable to me. He's just wearing a black suit, like a business suit with like a mask, like one of those. I don't even know what that is. Fucking who cares? Really, who cares? I don't. I'm not gonna read these, so why am I still talking about them when I could be talking about Marvel's Armageddon? What is that? What is Armageddon? I haven't read any of them. I don't know. What I stole from a couple articles says, after General Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk, led an army of Gamma-enhanced soldiers in a hostile effort to, quote, spread democracy across Europe, the Avengers dispatched their team to put an end to Ross's conquest despite protests from the UN. Armageddon has fallen upon the Marvel Universe, and a bold new age awaits the survivors. Writers Chip Zdarsky and Joshua Williamson took to the stage of Avengers Armageddon panel at San Diego Comic-Con to reveal new information about the final issue of Avengers Armageddon. Is that the final issue? I thought this just started! Oh boy. The climax of the current story in Captain America. I knew that one. I knew that the Chipped in America? I knew that the Chipped in America series crossed over with the Armageddon event. It's also the second arc of the Avengers series and 2 new story arcs from the ongoing Iron Man series. The discovery of this machine and the consequences of Red Hulk and Colton's battle will be explored in the upcoming issues of Avengers Armageddon and change how everyone in the Marvel Universe feels about superheroes. Uh-oh, they're doing the fucking Doomsday Clock thing. What was that called? Like the Superman paradigm or something like that? The Superman problem? While setting the stage for November's new release of The Avengers #1 by Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto. Cicchetto? Shishetto? Cicchetto? Armageddon has fallen on the Marvel... Okay, I already read that part, I think, yeah. There's also the newly announced Maximum X-Men by Christopher Yost and Tony S. Daniel. Does Christopher Yost write anything that isn't X-related? 2 new story arcs are also headed to the ongoing Iron Man series by Williamson, which will ship twice a month, with alternating story arcs and artists, beginning with the incarcerated Iron Man in Iron Man #12, leading up to... This is really funny wording. Beginning with the incarcerated Iron Man arc in Iron Man #12, leading up to Iron Man #700 in March. Damn, that's a long story arc. It's all the way from 12 to 700? What are they, releasing it hourly? The journey to our epic Iron Man 700 anniversary issue is so big that we had to split the book up into 2 and doubled ship it. Yeah, sure you did. Our amazing series artist, Carmen Carnero will handle the even-numbered issues where Tony Stark's in prison, while the odd-number issues are taken up over by the War Machines. That part has me interested. James Rhodey Rhodes puts together a team of armored warriors to help take down Madam Mask, Adam Ware, and the new AIM while Tony is locked up. For those issues, we're joined by my old partner, says Williamson, Gleb Melnikov. Great artist. I feel lucky to have these two amazing artists on my team during this action-packed story. I will say, the cover for Incarcerated Iron Man does have me interested. I don't know if I'm going to be interested enough to pick these books up, but I guess we'll see. Marvel Rivals, the Gooner game that it is, has a brand new mode coming up called Path to Doomsday Avengers Age of Ultron PvE mode. What a fucking mouthful. Hopefully they don't re-release it and add Encore to the end. Inspired by the film of the same name, players will battle as Avengers superheroes against Ultron's army, fighting through Avengers Tower and Ultron's data space. Neat. I guess. I haven't played Marvel Rivals in a bit. I have a couple friends who are really into it, far more so than myself. I am terrible. I only play as Cloak and Dagger because I really love their designs. I really dig Dagger's design especially. It's so much better than the stupid bodysuit with like the weird cleavage Dagger hole. And I love her little jacket. And it's fun to suck people off as Cloak. Yeah, this is a thing. This is just something that's being added to the game. It's like that the vampire one that wasn't very interesting, I guess. They're also doing the Queen in Black, which I brought up, I think, last episode. I very briefly mentioned it, which is, I don't even know. It's an event in the game that is getting like a mainstream comic tie-in to the Marvel Universe as another event is happening. It seems like a mess. But the next one is Marvel Comics Midnight Universe. That's Midnight Spider-Man, Midnight Fantastic Four, and Midnight X-Men, which is... I don't even know what to say. It's like a dark in reimagining. Ooh, where have I heard that idea from before? Hickman, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Benjamin Percy, they had a panel where they shed some light on these new characters and titles and whatever else. And then the article makes sure to note, they also unveiled additional variant covers! Now we get to the big one, which is Hall H. People camped out to get into Hall H. And unfortunately, things went long. So there was some issues with some panels running over time. Seemingly a panel earlier in the day, like, finished early. So I guess they bumped up the other panels, and then the other panels started, like, it was a snowball effect. Like, this one goes late, and then the next one into the Marvel one. So the Marvel one, like, started a half hour later. But they were handing out, my favorite part was they were handing out like little Doom masks and cloaks. And as soon as I saw the live tweet, because I was following along on the Looper website, I can't remember the guy's name that was live posting from the event, but I was following along there. And as soon as I saw him mention that, I went to eBay, I looked up SDCC Doom mask. Sure enough, seconds after it was in these people's hands, there was already 3 listings for, like, the Doom masks from, like, $200 to $215. Immediately, and the photos were, like holding them in their hands in the Hall H. Insane. And then I checked a couple minutes later, and there were more because the original ones were already sold. I was thinking about it. I was like, fuck that. I don't need that. So the big one from Hall H. John Bernthal shows up. And he showed some footage from Brand New Day. Who cares? The big one, immediately right off the bat, kind of, is that Ryan Gosling is joining the MCU in Marvel Studios' Gos-Rider. Woo! He's literally me! I guess Gos-Rider is a character Ryan Gosling's really into and he wants to play. For some reason, he appeared dressed as James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. Like, not fully, but pretty much he looked like him. So that's an interesting thing to note. Are they taking inspiration from that film? Should I finally watch Rebel Without a Cause to catch any similarities between this and the eventual Gos-Rider film, only in theaters 2028? I am really hoping that he is playing Danny Ketch, because I just can't see Ryan Gosling being Johnny Blaze. That just feels weird. And also, why not do Danny Ketch Gos-Rider? Do something new with him. Don't just have fucking Johnny Blaze again. We already had 2 Nicolas Cage movies and an appearance in Avengers Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Wait, what am I saying? And an appearance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When Johnny passes the Gos-Rider, like a spirit or whatever, and helps Robbie Reyes come back to life and become that version of Gos-Rider. I'm really hoping he's Danny Ketch, because that would then mean technically we have all 3 Gos-Riders. We would have Johnny Blaze somewhere. We have Robbie in LA doing stuff still, because fuck you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon. And we'd have Danny Ketch in the movie, played by Ryan Gosling. Unfortunately, however, it is directed by Shawn Levy. So these two work together on the Starfighter film, Star Wars Starfighter. And I don't know what happened. Well, Shawn Levy, he directed Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a film I love, don't get me wrong. But going back and rewatching 1 and 2 Deadpool, and then going to the third one, boy howdy is it a big difference. Shawn Levy is a very, for lack of better words, boring director. There's not a lot of creativity going into his shots and like the cinematography of it. And it doesn't have a lot of energy, which, that's worrying for Gos-Rider of all people, a man who can turn at right angle degrees to ride up a building. But I guess we'll have to see what happens. I can't remember who the writer is, but I don't think the stuff they did previously was all too great. But who's to say? Might be fucking monumental. Why do I keep using it? It might be great. It might be a lot of fun. I hope so. I'd like to see a cool Gos-Rider movie with Ryan Gosling, because he's literally me. He also hates the Haunted Mansion coverings, redesign for Christmas, which is Nightmare Before Christmas themed. I hate that part. I hate that for some reason, during Halloween of all times, Disney has decided, let's make the Haunted Mansion Christmas themed. That's not even the movie. Nightmare Before Christmas doesn't become them trying to turn Halloween into Christmas. It's them stealing Christmas. The movie begins on Halloween Eve. It starts on the 31st and ticks over into November. The whole movie takes place in November up to Christmas in December. It's not them turning Halloween into Christmas. I don't want to see a fucking gingerbread ghost or a floating sock. I want to see creepy ghosts and whatnot, and a mummy and a floating head that isn't in a Christmas ornament. I hate it. I was so disappointed the one time I went to Disneyland, and it was that. Because we went for Halloween, and it was Christmas themed! Moving on, Haley Atwell was confirmed to come back in Avengers Doomsday. No shit. I discussed Haley Atwell and my theories involving Steve Rogers, Peggy Carter, Doctor Doom in last episode. Check that out if you haven't already. Ryan Reynolds appeared as Deadpool in a denim jean version of the costume, a Canadian tuxedo, if you will, version of the Deadpool suit, which after that happened, the company that was hired to do it revealed that that had been in the works for about 2.5 years. That is how long this panel was was thought out of in advance and planned, which, that makes sense thinking about it. Like, you don't really go into like thinking how long it takes for these like panels to, like, how are we going to show it? What graphics do we need? What do we have to do and get ready? Who do we need to schedule? But like, yeah, that's a real thing that happens for all of these events. But like the fact that this was like 2.5 years ago, and like, because the denim needed time to cure or whatever, like, that just blew my mind. Like, it's just weird to think about that this whole time Ryan Reynolds has, one, had to keep in shape and like in his physique to fit the Deadpool suit, and two, has known that this is coming, and like, it also changes the outlook on the whole behind the scenes video. Ooh, look how much fun Ryan's having going to walk the floor on San Diego Comic-Con. It kind of changes that perspective. Deadpool asked, why is Thor crying? Which is, I fucking hate that. It is my least favorite joke of the entire MCU. I don't think it's funny. I didn't think it was funny when it first happened. I thought it was neat that it was like, oh, hey, look, they edited Deadpool into Thor the Dark World. Or, yeah, that's what, because it's Thor holding Deadpool. But I don't think it's a funny gag. I like it even less than the whole Drax thinks he's invisible if he stands still. That was the dumbest fucking thing I ever saw and heard and have to keep listening to because everybody thinks it's hilarious. He asked during the panel, he gets like called up and like he gets a microphone. When do you start shooting Avengers Doomsday? Then they played a new trailer for Avengers Doomsday, which I saw the leaked video of, and goddamn, is that a better trailer than what we got? Because, like I said last episode, the trailer that released for Doomsday is purely for general audiences to know that the X-Men are back. The trailer has Sue Storm narrating. She says that Victor used to be a good man, but he was damaged when he lost everything he cared about. Reed Richards continually asks Doom if he did this in a world filled with destruction. And they also confirmed, that confirms some kind of rivalry between Reed and Doom. But truthfully, what kind of rivalry is there going to be? Because you don't have time to really establish any backstory or history for these characters, not in a way that truly matters. Doom and Captain America are going to have more of a rivalry in the MCU than Reed Richards and Dr. Doom are. Let that sink in. Some quotes from the trailer is, it's Reed being like, Victor, why did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? He's screaming. Victor says, all of you have lived stolen lives and now you must give them back. What does that mean? It kind of makes me think of Kingpin's whole modus operandi from Into the Spider-Verse. But the big one, the one I'm most excited for, is Black Panther 3. The logo was revealed. It says Black Panther with Roman numerals for 3 behind it. I guess it's not even Roman numerals. It's just boop, boop, boop. It's just vertical lines. Ryan Coogler's back. It's set to release December 2028. I really like that Black Panther has, like, as a franchise, kind of become this, like, winter film release. Did it? Okay, I'm going to use my one Google. Because, again, I only get one Google per episode, a rule I imposed on myself for no reason. When did Black Panther Forever come out? November, yeah. I thought it was later in the year. I was thinking it was December also. I don't know, there's just something about, like, the weather's cooling. Winter is here. Fall is closing out to the coldness. And now I get to go to the movie theater and watch Black Panther. Like, that, I don't know, I just love that feeling for some reason. Okay. Because I didn't use Google last episode, I'm going to use it for the first Black Panther to see when that released. Okay, I thought it was February. That still counts as winter. I don't know. Like, again, there's something about that feeling of like, oh, the end of the year is coming. Days are getting shorter. The nights are growing longer. It's cooling down, hopefully, unless you're in the southern hemisphere. And it's getting hot as fuck. And I get to watch a Black Panther movie. For some reason, they really made it known that it's a large format movie. It's a big movie. Black Panther 3 is a big Black Panther movie. A B BPM. I don't know what does that mean? What do you fucking mean a large format movie? Was it shot in IMAX? Is it gonna be shot on film? Maybe they must have rented the soundproof boxes that Nolan had to use for the Odyssey. A film that I have not seen. I have no interest in seeing the Odyssey, just not into it. I don't care. I didn't see Inception until 10 years after it came out, so I figure I may as well do the same with the Odyssey. The biggest reveal, however, is that there is a new Black Panther. And it is T'Challa's son as a grown-ass man played by David Johnson, who I best know as Andy from Alien Romulus, a movie I love. Both because of Kaylee Spaney and also David Johnson as Andy, the stuttering android. Which really makes you wonder what the fuck is going on in the MCU. That T'Challa's son, who we last saw 4 years ago, is now a grown man. The only thing I can figure is that he's going to appear in Secret Wars as either his normal character, and it's going to be like, that's how they're going to show that time has maybe passed on Battle World, or he's just a different version of the character who's older. Then, bing bada boom, universe is rewritten by Reed Richards and Captain America and whoever the fuck, who cares? And the universe is rebooted softly. And now David Johnson is T'Challa too? I think that's... It just sounds funny. Is T'Challa's son, who I'm pretty sure is also named T'Challa. Hence T'Challa 2. So he will then appear as the grown adult version, but will still have Spider-Man be the same age. We're really getting into the MCU being as convoluted as the comics, and I love it. That is so funny to me, because now we're having the same issues. Like, Franklin Richards in the books is like 19, 20-something, but Spider-Man's the same age. Of course, there is the theory, the long-running theory that Franklin Richards is the reason for the floating time scale, and he fucked everything up, kind of like Timmy Turner in that one episode of Fairy Odd Parents. But, like, the fact that we're now having these, like, issues arise in the MCU because it's gone on so long, and they still want to have young Spider-Man, but they gotta age up T'Challa's son. It's just really fun.